Hi, welcome to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jamie McFadden, and I'm so excited to have you here. This podcast is about all things wellness. Each week, we will focus on a word of the day, and I interview some of the most inspirational people I know and share that inspiration with you. Join me, let's learn together on What's the Word.
This is the place where I belong.
Hi, and welcome back to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jamie McFadden, and it is an honor to have you here with me. This podcast is 1 year old, and I want to celebrate today with a mini episode chatting all about self-love. Everything that I do in my career revolves around self-care, and self-love is a vital component to enhancing our well-being. Recently, I started launching these mini episodes, and I'm going to continue in between the interviews, sharing some of these real-life things that are coming up for myself, my clients, and through the DMs I get from you. Since we are all connected, this is just a great way to share what's going on for so many of us. So be sure to like and subscribe the podcast. Send me a DM with any other topics that you'd like me to cover. Okay, so here's the deal. Feel free to take this one in the car or maybe go out for a walk if you're home. As we focus today on self-love. It's such a beautiful topic that is also oftentimes sprinkled with a ton of shame and negative associations for many of us. I want you to take a moment right now and think about your self-love. How does it make you feel when you ask yourself right now, what does love mean? And how am I, on the daily, loving myself? Oftentimes, this is just one of those uncomfortable topics that many of us just try to skip over or pour that energy into something else like work or our family life. But today, this very moment, we are taking time to focus on you. And I'm going to share some of my favorite tips on how you can actually start to enhance your self-love so that you can feel better from the inside out. After working with incredible psychologists on this topic, one who's coming up to my mind in particular, Dr. Lynn Levine, she is someone who describes love as acceptance, the ability to be as we are, to accept what is without judgment. Now, the opposite of acceptance is judgment. And oftentimes, we are consistently judging ourselves and those around us. Imagine if we spent that much time, instead of judging, simply accepting. When we're constantly surrounded by negativity and judgment, guess what happens? Yes, we end up loving ourselves and each other less. We feel less worthy. And whether you believe me on this or not right now, you are as worthy as I. In fact, you are super duper whole as you are, flaws and all, in this very moment. I want you to imagine that you actually believe that 100%, that you are worthy of love and a beautiful life despite any challenges, disruptions, or flaws that you may have. What would your life be like? Would you still be doing what you're doing right now? And if not, what would be different? Recently, there is a brilliant study that I saw where the professor grabbed out a $20 bill. Now, I want you to visualize this for a moment. He walks into a classroom holding up a $20 bill. I'm going to get the study and share it with you as soon as I can find it. But basically, he holds up the $20 bill and he says to the classroom, all right, everybody, raise your hand if you'd like this $20 bill. Well, everyone raises their hand. Then he takes the $20 bill, he crumbles it up in his hands and asks again, who wants this? One more time, all the hands go up. Then he takes the $20 bill, he throws it on the floor, he steps all over it, stomping on it, and yes, everyone still wanted the $20 bill. Why? Because it never lost its true value. That $20 has the same value that it started with, regardless of the shit that it went through. That's true for us as well. Regardless of what we go through, our mistakes, our misfortunes, our disruptions, the value of who we are stays the same. And remember, we are whole and worthy from the moment we are born of love. So let's get into my 3 tips here. I want you to start gaining some self-love today. And the number 1 tip I could suggest to you, wherever you're at, is, of course, we're focusing on acceptance today. But more importantly, I want you to let go of the idea of whatever you've cultivated through your own mind or conditioning from childhood, wherever it came from. Let go of the idea that you need to be perfect in order to feel love. And maybe it's not even perfect. Maybe you just put a lot of pressure on yourselves to be something or someone. But the reality is, acceptance is about letting some of that go. So whether it was something you've been holding on to, like I said, from your childhood, where maybe at one point in time someone said that you weren't good enough, or oftentimes you were told no, or don't touch this, or don't do this, or you were made to feel as though whatever you were doing wasn't worthy of love. It's time that we strip that down a little bit and we start to accept and embrace letting go of the idea that maybe some of that was BS. And the big thing I will say with this attached to it is many of us choose to be the victim of our life. We choose to put blame on ourselves and others for where we are. We feel as though the universe owes us something, or that the things that aren't so great in our lives are happening to us instead of for us. And so I encourage you today to the best of your ability, without judgment, to notice those negativity biases that come into your mind, to notice the thoughts that come into your mind when you are thinking about your own self-worth and self-love. And I want you to just pay attention. And we're going to talk about this in a few minutes, but it's really important to understand where we're at, right? So we can start collecting the data in order to make some changes. So number 1, we're letting go of this idea by bringing awareness to where we're at, and we're letting go of this idea that we need to be something or someone in order to be loved. We are accepting where we are, and we are going to do that with number 2. We're going to start working on some gratitude and affirmations, because the power of our thoughts can completely shape our lives. So if we acknowledge where they're coming from at the root, at the core, we can then start to rewire, rework, relearn, maybe unlearn some things, and begin to step forward on this new journey and new path towards self-love. Now, this is something that you will have to commit to every day of your life. This is not something that you either have or don't have. This is something, just like exercise, you have got to work on and work through. Sometimes it may be easier, sometimes it may be tougher, and we have to continuously do our best to love ourselves and to have that compassion like we do for others throughout this process. So affirmations are very simple I am statements, very affirming, positive, believing statements. And whether or not you believe them to be true in the moment that you speak them, you are then manifesting the energy around that statement. So think of this for a moment. Notice right now how it makes you feel to say, I am love. I am worthy. I am beautiful. How does that make you feel? The more that we can get comfortable being uncomfortable is going to help enhance our well-being. And a second part to that is gratitude. So we talked about the victimhood that many of us sit in for a massive part of our lives and feel as though we got duped or we aren't good enough or whatever other negativity thoughts come through our mind. So I want you to reframe this a little bit today. And whatever has happened to lead you up to this moment, wherever you are at in your life, whatever stuff you're going through, I want you to take a moment right here and now and think of one thing that you are grateful for in your life, in your body, in your mind, in your spirit, your resilience, your productivity, your strength, whatever it may be. Just take a moment to focus on that. The more that we take these opportunities in our life to be grateful, the more that we become grateful. And when we are grateful, life feels better. So that is number 2. Number 3, this one, I work on this with clients for a long time. So I think today's a perfect day to start this with you. Ask yourself, who am I? And spend some time today defining that. This is not probably going to be something that you can define in the next couple of minutes, but it is something that I dare you, I challenge you. Journal about it, brain dump about it, think about it, go for a walk, and quietly allow yourself to ask the question, who am I? Because oftentimes we define ourselves, our identity, based on our life experiences, our work, our family, instead of thinking about, back to that $20 bill, the core value of who we are. Who are you? What makes you feel joy? What sparks you? What makes you feel happy in your life? When was the last time that you literally had a smile from ear to ear on your face? What were you doing in that moment? And are you doing that often? Because many of us sit in jobs that we do not like, in relationships that we are unhappy in our own skin that is unhealthy because we are not acknowledging the awareness to take responsibility. So guess what, my friend? Today is a new day, and today is the perfect day for you to start loving yourself more. Alrighty. With that being said, number 1, we're going to go through that real quick. Let go of the idea of whatever you thought it had to be in order before you started loving yourself. Strip that away. You are worthy of love right now, and that love needs to stem from you. Start to focus on some positive affirmations that are all based on self-love. Cultivate a gratitude practice, 1 minute per day. Think about something that makes you feel grateful for this life that you have, this short life. And third, most of all, start understanding and appreciating who you are at the core. And when you think about that, I want you to think about the people that you spend your energy with. My self-care system, the WAVE system, is broken up into 4 parts. We cover well-being, awareness, vision, and energy. So let's utilize that right now for your self-love. Well-being, that's the W in the WAVE system. What does it mean to you to love yourself? What does that mean? These are great journal prompts, by the way. Bring awareness, that's the A, awareness, to where you are at on your self-love journey today. Where are you? Meet yourself there. You don't need to be where you think you're going to be in 10 weeks or 10 years from right now. Just be where you are. This moment is exactly where you're supposed to be. And guess what? You showed up. Whoop, whoop. Bring awareness to that. And the next one is vision. Once we know where we are, we can then determine the next step of where we want to go. We can then cultivate and manifest a vision utilizing baby steps of how to get to where we want to go. It's like creating a roadmap. But if we aren't aware of where we start or where we stand, how can you decide where to go next? So think about your vision. What does that look like to you to have more self-love in your life, to feel more worthy? Maybe you start having better boundaries in your life. Maybe that means that you quit your job and you go start that dream job that you've always thought about your entire life. Whatever it is, creating that vision. And then guess what we do? The E in the wave system is energy, because energy is at the forefront of every single thing and every moment and every aspect of who we are. So I need you today to start thinking about your energy. Where are you putting your energy? Who are you around? The people, the support that you have on this self-love journey is inevitably going to either help or harm, one or the other. And the power of the choice is yours. So you need to take some time today to think about, who are you spending your energy with? What are you spending your energy doing? And once you can evaluate that coming from a standpoint of love and compassion, just like you have for your child, just like you have for your dog, your spouse, or your best friend, then and in that moment, you can actually ride this wave and acknowledge the fact that it's a lifelong journey. Sometimes it's going to be tough. Sometimes the waves are going to crush you. But sometimes you're going to feel like you figured something out, and you're going to feel good about who you are and what you're doing. And those are the moments that we live for. We need to ride this wave out, the good, the bad, all of it, because it is a beautiful journey. And that is 100% why you are worthy of love, and especially self-love. So ride those waves. Do your best to be kind to yourself. Kindness is key. We had a podcast on that last week. If you haven't heard that one, check that one out. You are worthy of loving and truly honoring yourself starting right now. So thank you so much for listening, and please be sure to subscribe to this podcast. I appreciate your support more than I can explain, and I want to keep creating a community that is supporting each other in self-care across the globe. I am on a mission to inspire at least one person per day for the rest of my life. So I hope you feel inspired. I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you for joining me on What's the Word, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you for joining me here at What's the Word. Follow us on social media with the links on the screen, and don't forget to like and share with your friend. Your support helps us grow and continue to make inspirational content. See you next time on What's the Word.